Every headline you see is a smokescreen distracting from the atrocities you heard about yesterday. You are being gaslit by a system designed to keep you blind. Welcome to Political Malpractice. Open your eyes, see the frauds behind the curtain, dismantle the illusion.
And welcome back to Political Malpractice. It is I, Sasha, your hostess with the mostest, and Chris, our wonderful Wednesday morning co-host. How are we doing this week, Chris?
I'm doing really good. I will say, if anyone's following me on social media, I just kind of want to put it out there. I took a little bit of a break, and when I take a break from X, I actually deactivate my account. That way, people can't like go on there and say stuff and blah blah blah, and I'm not responding and all that. So I'll deactivate my account. So it'll look like I deleted it. I have not. I'll be back on. So I just want people to
Okay. Yeah, I know. I went to go check out some stuff that you had sent me, and I was like, what happened? Where'd it go?
know. Right.
But yeah, I do, however, want you, I'm going to try and attach somehow that AI song that you created and see if I can't get it to attach to the podcast for people to listen to, because that was hilarious.
Yeah, guys. I wrote a song. I did have some help from AI writing it. But like I basically laid out the what I wanted it to say, and then ChatGPT turned it into something like really, really good. And then I went to another AI program and had it create like a great song. It sounds real. You'd think it's a real person singing
Yes.
it. And anyway, it's great. It's great.
It, from what I remember of country music, because I used to be a big fan, it has kind of like a Jason Aldean, like,
Yes.
singer sound to it.
Hmm.
It's, guys, it is I'm going to give you the premise just in case, for whatever reason, I can't get it to attach so you can listen to it. But it is the greatest homoerotic song about John the Baptist baptizing the singer. It I really, really want you to somehow make this go viral on social media. I think the evangelicals will take to this song the way that they took to Madonna's Like a Virgin. They're going to be singing this in church, thinking it's the holiest worship song on earth, and totally miss the undertones of the song. It is great, guys. That's
Yeah,
all.
only from my insane mind could someone come up with a homoerotic song about John the Baptist. I'm sorry, but it just occurred to me. I was like, this would be funny.
It I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it. So
You have
I
all the
do want to
pages.
do I want to do a quick rundown with everything that's happened this week, and then Leela and I focusing on the California governor race on Sunday. I
Hmm.
kid you not, guys, we've got 11 pages of agenda to try and smash through in this episode. So,
Yeah.
our quick rundown. Fox News this week was complaining that the teenage birth rate from girls 15 to 19 has fallen about 7% in the last year and 70% in the last 2 decades. Pro-birth, anyone? This is not the party of pro-life. This is the party of pro-birth. Force them to spit out babies. Call a 15-year-old girl a woman on Fox News. She's a girl. You
Hmm.
know, I was disgusted by this. I don't understand how they can now be crying about the teenage birth rate dropping. I remember as a teenager, them like, and them being the establishment, the government, states, federal, whatever, everybody desperately trying to lower the teen birth rate because it was still too high. Teenagers aren't mature enough to have babies. They're
No.
not financially stable enough to have babies. I mean, shit, a 15-year-old can't even get a job unless you're in the southern states. They've now permitted child labor. So I don't, they want
Well,
workers. They want you to birth workers.
Well, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that is definitely one way of looking at it. My initial take on this, because I didn't actually see the clip, but I can totally believe this, is that they claim to want to protect children. They'll say that all the
Hmm.
time. But what they really mean is they want to protect, children from gays and transgender people. That's what they really, truly
Right.
mean. And um, anyway, so the idea of a 15-year-old having a baby, yeah, because they are like pro birth, like hardcore. I mean, we had something here in Missouri that came up about like, uh child weddings and stuff like that, and
Yep.
it was a Republican that was like, oh yeah, 14-year-olds or whatever. I can't remember exactly what age, but it was something ridiculously young. It's like 14-year-olds should be able to get married, so they're
Hmm.
fine with promoting heterosexuality, heteronormativity, even if it is bad for children, which obviously, it's not great if a 15-year-old girl is having a baby. So yeah, I mean this, yeah, it's utter bullshit. It just shows that they really don't care about children. They don't. It's performative.
No, it's very performative. I mean, if they cared about children, and we'll get to it, the Epstein files would be prosecuted. We'd be in the middle of a million trials. If they cared about children, we'd be in the middle of a million trials. MAGA has attacked Catholics, and it's
Hmm.
been insane this week. So, one of the news stories about the attack on the Catholic Church that has kind of slipped through, mainstream media attention. Maybe there was a quick blurb and then they moved on, right? Pentagon officials called in Cardinal Christophe Pierre, who's the ambassador to the Holy See here in the US. And they told him that the US military is mighty, the US can do whatever they want, and the Vatican needs to get on the US's side. They threatened him. I'm trying to see if I wrote it down. I don't know why I wouldn't have written it down. Um, there we go. They threatened him with the Avignon Papacy. Like, they kind of brought this story up as
Hmm.
a very subtle threat. So, my understanding of the Avignon Papacy, way back in the day, the French king basically kidnapped the Pope and made him live in France for several
Right.
decades, and
Yes.
through that, controlled the Catholic Church. Apparently, this
Hmm.
is something that is super embarrassing to the Catholic Church. Um, so for a Trump official to bring up the Avignon Papacy and to threaten with it again is a direct threat to the Vatican. You're basically saying, look, get with the program, or we're going to kidnap Leo and basically force him to live in LA or in the US so that we can control the guy. You know, I'm not a Catholic. The Catholic Church has done some horrendous things throughout history, but you don't threaten anybody, let alone the fucking Pope, especially
Well,
when you're trying to claim the moral authority.
I mean, the Catholic Church has done some horrible stuff throughout history, but, I mean, I don't know what group of people hasn't, I guess, to a certain degree. Uh, you
Right.
know, uh, but, so, I mean, I really don't necessarily hold that against them. But, yeah, I am actually a former Catholic. Uh, I am Jewish now. I am a practitioner of Judaism now, but and I won't go into the long story behind all that. But anyway, um, but I do know a lot about the Catholic Church, and the the thing is everything that the Pope is saying is totally in line with Christian teaching. And these
Right.
people, the Pete Hegseths, the Donald Trumps, all those people claim to be Christian. I had a very frustrating encounter with a couple of people. And anyway, I don't want to give away what we're going to talk about here in just a little bit, but I will say that it was kind of interesting. I talked to them about something that Trump had done, and then they decided to bring up the shit about the Pope. And these are two right wing friends.
Right.
Um, and of course they're both. One is an evangelical Christian conservative, and the other one is a Christian conservative.
Hmm.
And yeah, they both just went on this tirade. And beforehand, I remember one of them at least like lauding the Catholic Church about like how good their Christian values were and everything. And then suddenly, because Trump has a problem with the Pope, now the Pope is an idol, it's idolatry and blah 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 and all this type of stuff. And
Right.
I'm like, no, the Catholic Church does not teach that about the Pope. If anyone does interpret their teachings that way, that's on them. That's not what the Catholic Church teaches whatsoever. So I think that Pope Leo is being a very good Christian.
Hmm.
He's politically smart, and I am, 100% on his side in this because he is preaching what these people should be following but are not following at all.
Well, here's what I think is Trump's issue, right? Um, you have a pope who is sticking by Christian norms, you know?
Hmm.
He's called out this administration every time they've really bumbled, you know? Trump threatens genocide. He's killing a whole bunch of civilians in Iran, yet at the same time doing it all invoking the name of God. And the Pope is sitting there going, hello, God doesn't like this. God does not listen to you because you have blood on your hands. He, Trump got his feelings hurt, and he said that the Pope is weak on crime, which I think is hilarious. We have a Pope who's not supporting a felon president. I think the Pope's right in line with being very tough on crime and criminals. He is not supporting a felon president. Um,
Well, not
he
to
Trump
mention he's
continued on.
actually doing things. Sorry, not to cut you off, but he's doing
No, you're
things
fine.
within the church also to deal with some of the pedophile situations and stuff like that. I mean, he's actually
Yeah,
making big changes, and they aren't really paying, and no one's paying a lot of attention to it. But yeah, he's totally tough on crime.
and it's a threat to the Trump regime right now. Having a pope to the world stand up to him is very much a threat. Trump
Hmm.
went so far as to say, I don't want a pope who criticizes the president of the United States because I'm doing exactly what I was elected in a landslide to do. No landslide, by the way. If I wasn't in the White House, Leo wouldn't be in the Vatican. I'll give him that. If Trump hadn't gotten into the White House, then we wouldn't have had Vance as vice president. Vance wouldn't have met, who was it, Pope Francis before Leo, and then
Hmm.
Pope Francis wouldn't have died. So I'll give it to Trump. Trump started the series of events that coincidentally caused J.D. Vance to come into contact with the former Pope. 2 days later, the former Pope dies. Boom, Leo's now the Pope. So I'll give him that. He happened to be there right before a sequence of events occurred. Um, I don't understand. What is Trump thinking when he's saying that the Pope isn't tough on crime? I dare Trump to go to the Vatican. Go to the Vatican. They are a country, they have cops. Let's watch Leo be tough on crime and fucking arrest you for your war crimes. Fucking arrest you for the shit that happened in the Epstein files, because that shit was international too.
Hmm.
So if Trump doesn't think that the Pope is tough on crime, I dare Trump to go to the Vatican. Let's see. If Leo arrests him, Trump is wrong. If Leo doesn't arrest him, Trump is right.
Well, the thing is, Trump, I don't think he is actually stupid. I do think that he is playing on the bigotry towards Catholics from evangelical Protestant Christians, because
Hmm.
there is a lot of that. And so I think that he's playing on that. But it does, I do think that it is hilarious that he's saying, I don't want a pope. And I'm like, look, you motherfucking Protestant prick. It's not up to you to determine who the pope is. That is a Catholic issue, not yours.
Right.
Back off, you little reformer.
The thing that I find funny, though, is Trump is very anti Pope right now, which to Catholics translates as anti Catholic, right?
Yeah, sure.
Back in September, Kash Patel testified in front of Congress saying that there are 60 anti Catholic groups that the FBI was currently investigating. Did we stop investigating those anti Catholic groups now that Trump is all of a sudden anti Pope and anti Catholic? Did the rest of America pay attention to this? All American Catholics. The FBI was actively prosecuting or investigating 60 groups that were anti Catholic. Are they still? Does the US still aim to protect Catholicism the way that it aims to protect Protestantism?
No, it does not. And I'll tell you what, I mean, first of all, I do believe Protestantism is a larger group, I should say, because it's not a single denomination. Protestants
Right.
distinctly create thousands of denominations. But as a group, I think they're larger than Catholics in the United States. Um, so yeah, I mean, this anti-Catholic thing is something that has been going on. It's like, he's playing off of the fact that these Protestants, think that Catholics are uh, 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 their allegiance is actually to the Pope and not to their country. I mean, it's almost the same stuff that they accuse Jews of, really. I mean,
Right,
it,
right.
it really is. And anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's just the way it is. Obviously, if the Pope had good things to say about him, he'd probably be all over the Pope sucking his dick and all that type of stuff. But
Mhm.
um, but if it's a good Pope, they would never agree with Trump. And I think that Leo is a good Pope. Does he
Yeah.
agree on homosexuality? No, he doesn't. But you know what? The thing is, I don't expect the Catholic Church to change their stance on that anytime soon. But, otherwise, keep that separate. Otherwise, he seems to be a pretty good guy.
He's quite progressive, and I do like that. I like that
Yeah.
he is quite progressive. Um, Democrats, and this I did not hear a peep out of mainstream media about this. Democrats ended up crashing an ICE detention center. Left, right, and center, these detention centers have been denying Congress members their rights to inspect. They have a right, they have a duty, in fact, to inspect the ICE detention centers. Yasmin Ansari, Adelita Grijalva, and Greg Stanton ended up pushing their way into the ICE detention center at the Mesa Gateway Airport. They said that there was 40 plus people shoved in cells that were meant for 21 to 24 people. Ansari saw that someone was really sick, and she told one of the officers that was with them, hey, they need a doctor. They need some medical
Mm,
attention. They're really sick. And she said that the person she told that they needed a doctor for this person said, they're busy. They'll come after you leave. And she said this person was laying on the floor. Everybody had said they'd been sick for days. They had a really high fever. There were no blankets or mattresses. People were laying on just bare concrete. And this particular center is only meant to hold people for 12 hours. This is like a go to court, get your removal order, go to this detention center because it's at the airport, get on a plane, and be deported. They said that it's clear that people have been there for days at a minimum. Days.
Mm.
It there is so much coming. The Trump regime took Steve Bannon's flood the zone and has amplified that play. It is getting so difficult to catch up with everything that's happening. As soon as you grab one story, 15 others pop up. I don't know how America is going to recover from this. I'm sure that there's a lot that we're not finding out, that we're not being told because there's just too much.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and speaking of the Pope, and by the way, one last little point that I had about that, but I will tie this into that. Speaking of the Pope, one other thing too is Catholics still, by and large, tend to vote Democrat.
Mhm.
Protestants do not. So that's another thing, or another reason to keep your eye on that. Okay, so anyway, Pope Leo has been very outspoken on the situation with the way we are treating these people. I know lots of people on the MAGA side have also started kind of questioning the humanity of what's going on. Uh, and ABC News did a really interesting investigation on these ICE detention facilities, and they showed that there had been a substantial increase in the number of deaths also
Mhm.
in these facilities. So, I mean, we're not talking about like just mistreatment, which is already bad enough, you know. We're talking about freaking murder at this point.
Yeah.
And that's
It
not okay. I mean, that is not okay. I mean, I still stick with what I've said before in the past. It's like, yes, I do want a well regulated immigration system. I don't want open borders, none of that type of stuff. If somebody does slip through, yes, deport them. But my God, we got all this money to blow on a war in Iran, and we can't just simply take care of these people and make sure that they're treated humanely, even though we are going to send them out of the country. I mean, at the very least, we can fucking do that.
it humanity, I don't think, is in this administration's vocabulary. I don't think that treating people humanely and recognizing that even if someone is here undocumented, they're still a human. They
Yes.
still have rights. And this administration is just ignoring that. Um, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Trump ran on a Hitler platform, calling immigrants vermin, saying that they poison the blood of America. Those are quotes from Hitler. Hitler said the same thing about Jews, and MAGA thinks that that's okay.
Hmm.
I
Well,
don't.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. It's like, as we were saying, I mean, they see the same thing with Catholics. They say the same thing with Catholics. You know that their allegiance is with another leader. Same thing is said about them. I mean, it's all scapegoating, is what it is. I mean, I just can't imagine. Let's say I had been elected. I cannot imagine being a politician just sitting there thinking, you know, I have this objective I want to meet, and gosh darn it, fuck everyone who gets in my way. I just couldn't
Right.
imagine being that way, and that kind of seems to be the way he is. and the people that support him, to be quite honest.
It Steve Miller, and I think that he is this what I'm about to say is not to take any responsibility off of Trump's hands, because Trump ultimately is the president. All of these people are working under him, ergo he is responsible for every single thing that they do.
Sure.
Steve Miller, I think, is the driver behind the evil that we're seeing with ICE right now and the evil in the detention centers. Um, he put out a tweet the other day saying something about illegal immigrants are going to sue to take your kids' inheritance. There's no way that an illegal immigrant can
Huh?
sue to take what my mom left me. What he means, what he means is that illegal immigrants are going to sue to get citizenship to take white people's America. That's the meaning behind what he's saying. He's claiming that the inheritance he's talking about is a white America. And if we don't eradicate immigrants, then they are going to take white America. And
That actually doesn't surprise me when you said that, because there is that push within the right. I don't know that they're necessarily MAGA. I wouldn't call them that. Most MAGA people, I think, would not agree with them. But the whole "they will not replace us" folks,
right,
you know,
the replacement
and
theory, folks.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, I don't want to put that all on MAGA, because I am very familiar with how a lot of MAGA folks think, and I don't think most of them would buy that. But there is a segment of the right that absolutely does believe that. So it doesn't
Hmm.
surprise me. I mean, Trump's covering all of his bases.
Yeah. It I will say that the Trump regime is trying very hard to do to America what Hitler did to Germany. They failed to anticipate the power that social media is, because way back in the 1930s, you just had your nightly news radio, you had newspapers. You couldn't disseminate information as quickly then as you can now. And that, I think, is one of the things that is saving America, because we're able to spread information like a wildfire. It goes so fast, thankfully. Um,
Yeah.
to combat that, Kash Patel is acting on an executive order and a memo released by Pam Bondi. And he has created a little like sub investigative group who's investigating Americans for anti American, anti capitalism speech who have specific views on religion or race. That's us, Chris.
Oh
That's
my
us.
God. Yeah, that is us. I mean, God, can we talk McCarthyism here for a second?
It
When I
the
saw
memo,
this, I'm like, hello, 1950s. We're right back there again. I guess Trump made America fucking great again.
right? So the memo orders investigations into organizations and officers of said organizations that aid and abet Trump and Bondi's designation of criminal activity. In these two memos, one of them from Trump says that Antifa is a terrorist organization. Antifa, for one, is not an organization. Okay, so he got that wrong. Um, and Antifa is not anti-American. The last time I checked my history books and history sites and checked with, you know, social media creators who are history professors, America was Antifa when we fought Hitler.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't.
no. I mean, that's very true. I mean, Antiva is not a centralized organization, and just for anyone who's on the right watching, I do kind of want to clarify something here. It's like Antifa, no, it's not a centralized organization, but it is a thing that exists. It's a
It
movement, you
so it
will.
doesn't.
Well, no, no,
Antifa
no.
is
It
not a
does. It
movement.
does. I mean, I had plenty of Antifa folks show up and protest me, and when I came over and talked to them just to understand what they had to say, they said that they were Antifa, and so enough people are claiming this label that I would say that it's at least a movement. It's not centralized by any stretch of the imagination, but it is
So
kind of a movement.
Antifa is a quote movement, the same way that fascism is a quote movement. It's not, it's a way of thought, right? The right doesn't understand the definitions to the words that they're using. So, a fascist is a supporter of a far right, authoritarian, and ultra nationalist political ideology that exalts nation or race above the individual.
Right.
Trump, the fascist, says we ought to get them all out of the country. They're troublemakers, they're agitators, they don't love our country. We ought to get them the hell out. That is Trump, the
Right.
fascist, right? So, somebody who is Antifa is someone who is opposed to fascist ideology.
Sure.
So,
And don't get me wrong, it's not like I necessarily disagree with everything that they stand for, but I just know that if anyone on the right is listening and if we act as if Antifa doesn't exist, I know how they think. And so it's like it does exist to an extent, but to an extent, it is not like some big, huge funded organization and all this type of shit that the right has fever dreams about. I just wanted to acknowledge that. But yeah, I mean, America was Antifa when they fought Hitler, for sure, and Italy, because Italy was a fascist country as well during World War II. You know, we don't want fascism in this country, but the problem, at least as I see it, is too many people are willing to throw around the fascist label for the littlest thing. And so I think it's losing meaning. And because it is a serious accusation.
it
And I definitely
it's
do
very
think that,
serious.
yeah, and I definitely do think the Trump administration regime, whatever you want to call it, definitely does fit the definition of a fascist group for sure. Um, but I just wonder if some Americans are losing sight of what they're falling for because they just heard so many people say fascist. I mean, Trump was being called a fascist before he had even taken office, and
Because he's
actually,
been a fascist. He's
yeah,
always been a fascist. He's hid behind the name of populist, right? He's hid behind the
hmm
name of populist. He's tried to paint his fascism as populism, and it's not, you know? Within fascism, there's core characteristics, right? Militarism is one of the core characteristics. Militarism is the belief in the necessity of war and violence. Trump, the militarist, if a real agreement isn't reached, the shooting starts bigger and better and stronger than anyone has seen before, and Power Plant Day and Bridge Day all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. That is Trump the militarist.
Oh no, he definitely has.
It
I mean, you're not getting
suppression of
disagree.
dissent.
Yeah, you're not getting disagreement from at all. It's just that I guess I'm just trying to think of how best to reach those people who don't realize what you and I realize. You know what I mean? It's like,
I I don't think that there is any reaching them at this point. I think that anybody who can be reached has been reached. Everybody else at this point is a willing participant in Trump's actions. Trump's DOJ is trying to completely wipe out any charges of sedition against the US for the Proud Boys. Completely wipe it out. They've already been pardoned. Now the DOJ is trying to pull back
Right.
everything so that they weren't even ever prosecuted for it. They were never even tried for it. They are trying to completely clean the record of people that were found guilty of sedition.
Yeah. But you
And
were
in
going to
the
talk
same
about suppression of dissent. I'm sorry, I
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
cut you off
No, it's
just to
okay.
make sure that
So
you understood that I'm not on the opposite side of you on this.
no, 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 no. So the core characteristics of fascism, and we're seeing them now: militarism, suppression of dissent, extreme nationalism, and dictatorial rule. I don't think that Trump is being successful at all of this because, like I said, this isn't 1930s Germany. We have social media, we have the internet, we can spread information like crazy.
Right.
So, for the most part, he's getting cut off in a lot of areas and he's unable to successfully complete what he's trying to do. But all of these core characteristics are embodied in the Trump regime. Suppression of dissent is a violent silencing of opposition. Renee Good and Alex Preddy ring a bell? You know, this very investigation by the FBI. You're telling me that the FBI is going to come nicely, knock on my door, and say, "Excuse me, Sasha, may we have a moment to talk with you?" No. If Patel wants to come and investigate our podcast for anti American and anti capitalism speech that they don't like, he's going to bust down my fucking door. That is a violent silencing of opposition. Extreme nationalism, an obsessive focus on national or racial identity. Gulf
Hmm.
of America, Strait of Trump, calling immigrants vermin. That's all extreme nationalism. Dictatorial rule. As as recent as January 21st, 2026, in Davos, Trump said, "But sometimes you need a dictator." He has said that Americans want a dictator. He is a
Oh, I think
fascist.
I think a very small minority do. I mean, because they just love to be led around by the nose. You know what I mean?
It I don't think they want it for that reason. I think that at this point in time, they are saying it to try and quote own the libs because they are too ignorant to understand what it means to have a dictator.
Oh
They
yeah,
don't
yeah,
understand.
oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the type of stuff that you're talking about here and everything. Right now, these people are still in own the libs for sure, and I know that that's what it is. Um, I fear that at some point in time that idiotic stance is going to end us up with something we really, really don't want. So stock up on your emo, kids.
Mhm.
Anyway.
Well, not even that. I mean, you could try and own the libs all you want. I maybe fill up my car once every week and a half, once every 2 weeks. My wife's job pays for her gas. You're not owning me, you dipshit.
Yeah,
Like, sure, I pay a little more to fill up my car, but I don't fill it up that often. So laugh yourself all the way to the gas station where you're filling up, twice a week, 3 times a week, depending on how much you drive. There's only two of us that I have to pay to feed, you
yeah.
know? Meanwhile, these MAGA people have bigger families. You're owning me and not realizing that this is literally a cut off your nose to spite your face situation.
Oh, it totally is. Well put. Well put. No, it totally is. Yeah, because I mean everything that these middle class Americans, especially, are voting for if they're voting for Trump is completely working against them.
Oh, yeah.
But there is, I think, a misconception out there that it's a bunch of middle class and lower, poorer classes, bunch of yahoo jackoffs out there that support him. I came to find out that is absolutely not true. Some of the wealthiest Kansas Cityans came out to support me, and I was running under the MAGA banner. So they like that. They like that crap too. The difference is they probably do stand to benefit, whereas the other
Hmm.
idiots don't.
They absolutely, they absolutely stand to benefit. Under this one big beautiful bill that Trump ran on and MAGA was screaming and cheering for, Tesla this year paid zero federal taxes. They made $5.7 billion of profit, paid zero federal taxes. That's what they voted for. That's what they wanted. Meanwhile, the average American's federal tax rate is 14.5%,
Hmm.
but they get no tax on tips up to a certain point. So if the majority of your paycheck comes from tips, waiters, waitresses, bartenders, I'm looking at you. You get taxed after a certain point. Guess who didn't get taxed? Tesla didn't get taxed. Guess who only paid 1.3% taxes because of the one big beautiful bill? Amazon. Guess what Amazon also did? They added a 3.5% surcharge to everything you buy because of this war in Iran and the cost of gas increase. So Amazon, even though they paid 1.3% in taxes, they're now up 2.3% in profit thanks to that 3.5% surcharge. I understand for MAGA that that's a lot of math done really, really fast, you know? But put me on slow, write it down. You got hosed. This administration hosed you. ExxonMobil's tax rate, 1.3%. That is their tax rate for this last filing year. Meta, 3.5. I don't know what Zuckerberg did to piss Trump off that he had to pay 3.5%. And AT&T apparently pissed somebody else off too because they paid 4.6%. But the average American is paying 14.5% in taxes. If we wanted
Hmm.
to make America great again, we would go all the way back to pre-trickle-down economics, where the richest of the rich corporations were paying 90% in taxes.
Hmm.
That's how you make America great,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
see no problem with it. I mean, if you're making a fuck ton of money, making billions of dollars, you know, and, let's say half of it goes to the federal government or something, you still have
Mhm.
a fuck ton of money left over, folks.
Yeah,
And I mean, at what point do these people need the Elon Musk? At what point do they need their gigantic individual wealth? They don't. They don't
right,
need it. No one needs that shit. You know,
right.
give me $1 million, and I'll find a way to make it last for the rest of my fucking life, and I'll never work again.
Exactly.
You know.
It If Elon Musk at $800 billion in personal wealth had to pay $10 billion in taxes a year, at the end of the year, he would still have $800 billion because people don't understand the, the rate that interest alone. If that $800 billion was just in a bank account, let's just say he had it in a savings account, right?
Right.
I mean, let's say it was in a money market account with a higher interest rate percentage. He would get that money back at the end of the year. It
Hmm.
costs him nothing to pay $10 billion in taxes. He would have no clue. It's not like he's not going to be able to pay the mortgage on his house. You know what I mean? But
No.
the average American doesn't understand that, and the average American thinks that if they work really, really hard, that they'll have $800 billion too. You're not gonna have
I know.
$800 billion.
I'll tell you what, that is something that I have laughed at about the right, even while I was on the right. Listening to these poor broke ass motherfuckers sitting there talking about, how, well, you just work hard, blah blah blah, and you'll make it big too. And it's like, well, I guess you're not working very hard because look at where you are.
Right,
I
right.
mean,
It
it's just stupid.
Jethro can't even afford a dentist. He's never
No,
gonna be a millionaire. Never.
no.
So, on to our next topic. I'm I trying to approach this with some tact. The amount of rampant sexual deviance in our government is disgusting, right?
Hmm.
We just had Eric Swalwell. The information broke Friday. By Sunday evening, he had withdrawn from his governor campaign for California. I want to say by Monday, maybe, he had resigned from Congress. That's how you do it. That is absolutely how you do it. You find out that somebody had been inappropriate with somebody else, and you hit them hard, you hit them fast, you make them run, you make them drop out of everything, you make them give up any semblance of power that they have.
Right.
I don't understand the crowing on the right. Republicans were all over Swalwell, right? You've got Representative Anna Paulina Luna, who's a Republican, who came out immediately saying, I'm going to file a motion to remove Swalwell from Congress. Good job, girl. Yes, absolutely you do. Where is your motion to impeach Trump because of his presence in the Epstein files? Where is your motion to remove Mills with all of his sexual, harassment complaints and sexual misconduct complaints? Where's the motion to remove Daniel McKeon, who was a Republican, who was charged with public indecency? Where's the motion against RJ May, who was also a Republican? He did get suspended from the state house for child molestation, but where were all of these movements and motions to get rid of her fellow Republicans? Because
Hmm.
Democrats were loud when that news came out. Democrats were fucking loud. We were
Yes,
loud
they
when the
were.
news came out about Cesar Chavez. And all the right is doing is saying, aha, Democrats are doing it too, instead of cleaning up their own house.
Yeah, well,
Clean up your house.
that doesn't really surprise me. Okay, so I do have to kind of give away something we are going to talk about in a little bit. Maybe. So the thing that I was talking about that with these couple of conservative friends of mine that I was talking to, was especially since they're Christian conservatives, I found Trump's depiction of himself as Jesus Christ, because that's what he looked like, extremely offensive. And
Hmm.
I'm a Jew. I'm a Jew. But I still found it extremely offensive because it's like, you're denigrating a very large religious population here, and you definitely are treading on blasphemy. Okay, that said, both of them were completely aloof to the whole thing with Trump. It's like, I don't look to him for spiritual guidance and blah blah blah. It's the same line that every right winger uses when they want to
Right.
excuse or dismiss something that Trump does. They totally went there, and I was just kind of like, huh? You guys are conservative Christians and you don't care about your president blaspheming your religion? Okay. Then one of them actually brought up, it's like, we should be talking about Swalwell and oh god, what's the other guy? Gonzalez. We should be talking about Swalwell and Gonzalez
Mhm.
instead. I'm like, okay, so blasphemy's off the table. We're not gonna worry about that. But hey, let's go ahead and talk about, sexual assault. It's like last time I checked, a sin is a sin. And
Right.
so that blasphemy is just as serious as the sexual assault. And so it's like, I'm kind of like, why on earth is it no big deal that Trump does this, but now you want to suddenly talk about Swalwell and Gonzalez? Oh, could it be that they're Democrats? You know,
It I I appreciate that the sexual deviancy, the sexual violence in politics is getting the attention that it should get, right? I have a huge problem with the fact that the same people who call out Democrats who are, sexual assaulters voted for Donald Trump, who is an adjudicated sexual assaulter. He had to pay money for it. A judge likened his actions to rape. He has nominated Matt Gaetz, who has sexual assault allegations. He nominated and got affirmed Pete Hegseth, who has sexual assault allegations. He nominated and got affirmed RFK Jr., who has sexual assault allegations. Elon Musk, who has the allegations. Linda McMahon, who has sexual assault allegations. And Justice Kavanaugh, who has sexual assault allegations. You have Congressman Mills, who's undergoing a House ethics investigation for sexual misconduct. You have Daniel McKeon, like I said, RJ May, who was indicted on charges of child sexual abuse material. And then we have the fucking Epstein files that nobody's doing shit about. You have Melania, who's going out there trying to distance herself when nobody was fucking talking about her from Epstein. And there's mountains of evidence that points to all of her statements being a lie. She tries to focus this attention on the victims and basically said, they need to testify under oath. They don't need to do shit. They are victims. They need to be believed. They have spoken ad nauseum at this point for fucking decades. So don't tell them, well, if you just do this, people will believe you. Because no, they won't. Your husband and his entire cabinet are sexual criminals. But this is the same party that wants to say, oh, Swalwell needs to get out of Congress. I'm going to file papers to get him out of Congress. Shut the fuck up, bitch. Shut the fuck up. I'm
yeah.
glad he's
Well,
gone. We were saying it on
yeah.
Sunday, Leela and I. He needs to get gone. Now clean up the rest of it. Quit ignoring your own party members.
I'll tell you what. It definitely occurred to me, especially after I talked to the two conservative friends of mine. And again, I'm still like just utterly baffled by their response. I thought that they were more intellectually honest than that, but I guess not. And anyway, yeah, they're. I couldn't help but think. There we go. I couldn't help but think that if this was a Republican who was doing it, they would totally circle the wagons. Totally circle the
Oh,
wagons. We'd be protecting him. It's just some libtard out to get this guy or whatever the case may be. They'd come up with 50 million different excuses, and that's how it would have gone. But the Democrats, I've got to say, kudos to them. And I am far from a Democrat, but kudos to them because they did take out the trash in their party, and that's good.
Right. It I also want to note, because I will call out Democrats when I think that what they are doing is self-serving. I think that the immediate reaction against Swalwell was self-serving.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
absolutely do. Right now, they are super loud about the Epstein files and about all the Republicans and their sexual assault allegations and complaints. Um, so I think that this was a way for them to performatively put their money where their mouth is. I will have to see this sort of behavior from Democrats for at least 10 years before I will believe that they are sincere in their actions.
I will say, don't count on them being 100% sincere. I think that honestly, this probably came more from the ground up than the top down, as far as why Democrats reacted the way they did, which is good. So
Yeah.
that's why I say good on Democrats, because I'm talking about like Democrat voters,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. I'm not congratulating the politicians. I mean, there's a lot of crazy sexual stuff that goes on in politics. I mean,
Mhm.
I discovered that in our state capital there's these sex parties that go on, and then among the politicians, and then but you don't know if it's a safe sex party to go to or one that's set up by this guy who evidently films these people secretly doing stuff. And then what he does is he presents them with a video and it's like, here's what I want done in Missouri. If you don't do it, this goes public. And so, I mean, this is fucking Missouri, man. This shit's going
It
on.
Someone took the script to Scandal with that whole thing. Someone took the script to Scandal and said, "I wonder if I can make this really happen. Let's try." What the fuck?
Mhm.
What the
Yeah,
fuck?
no,
Where is Kerry Washington? Where is Kerry Washington?
I tell people all the time. I was like, it's like even my poor mother. I'm like, you really don't want to know what I know now. You don't. You just
Gee.
don't.
It, so on that, we are all freaks and repressed evangelicals doing weird sex things that can get us blackmailed. Representative John Larson, Representative John Larson has filed articles of impeachment against Trump.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm laughing out
Jesus.
loud. Yeah,
So
articles of
we
impeachment. Yeah. I mean, that's not
we've
good.
got
None of
John
that stuff's
Larson.
going to go anywhere. None of that stuff's going
It
to go anywhere right now.
it's not it's not going to go. But having the articles filed, getting getting the groundwork laid, right? Um,
Mm.
in his filing, he also demanded that the cabinet invoke the 25th Amendment.
Right,
And
right.
so he's trying to get that starting line ready so that after midterms, everybody that comes in can hit the ground running, right? Of the things that have happened in the last, I don't know, 2 weeks, that would just 2 weeks. We're not going through the last almost year and a half now. We're just looking at 2 weeks, right? That would put Trump at risk of impeachment. Um, would be, where did it go? I had it all here. His tirade against MAGA influencers. Why? He went on a middle of the night social media rant against Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones. That doesn't speak to a man that is of sound mind. This crazy arch that he wants to get built, that's what he went and did Easter morning instead of going to church like the good Protestant boy that he claims he is, whose favorite Bible verse is the whole Bible, right?
Yeah.
His
Hey, if you don't know a fucking thing about the Bible, just claim to know the whole
the whole thing is his favorite verse. It is so much his favorite that he went and surveyed the
thing.
grounds for his nihilistic arch that he wants to build. His
Oh
nihilistic
God.
arch, that by the way, isn't even the grandest arch in the world because it's smaller than the one that Hitler planned to build. So while
Well,
this man is trying,
it's smaller than the one in Missouri too.
he wants to be the biggest, strongest, greatest. He can't even accurately measure other arches and build one bigger. He sucks. He all around sucks. He is the greatest at subpar performance. That is the trophy that I will make for him. The greatest subpar performer, right?
You're right.
He has lost all control of the White House. There was an email that was sent out that had to inform White House staffers to stop placing bets on the prediction markets. Stop betting what the price of gas is going to be, please. Stop betting when we're going to bomb Iran. Stop betting if we're going to set fire to this or go kidnap that world leader or that country's president. Stop betting. He has no control over anybody in the White House.
I will say,
He
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. He has demanded access to medical records from 24 million Americans and their families. He has demanded health record access of federal workers, retired Congress members, mail carriers, and their families. The Office of Personnel Management has demanded all of these records. They demanded that 65 insurers send monthly reports about what these people are doing, what they're seeing the doctor for, what their, diagnoses are, what medications they're receiving. All of these things are impeachable offenses. He was seen at the UFC fights during Iran negotiations with Marco Rubio, whose job it was to be conducting these negotiations, and he was overheard flirting with Paulo Costa. He said, "You're a beautiful guy. You could be a model. You look good." That's what he's doing. The President of the United States and the Secretary of State, while we're in the middle of Iran negotiations, is flirting with
Boink,
a
boink,
UFC
boink, boink,
fighter.
boink.
God, what's going?
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't understand.
Yeah. I mean, he's a celebrity, and I think that's what we need to keep in mind. He has that celebrity mindset. And so, I mean, if you want to know what it'd be like to have Oprah Winfrey as president, look to Donald Trump. It'd probably be somewhat similar. She'd just be the left wing version of it.
Except Oprah doesn't have dementia.
No, well, yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that there is some intelligence behind what he's doing. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I can see the madness. It's like, I don't know, something's firing off there. But that's just
It
I oh, I'm sorry.
for a while, I would give a nod to your, okay, maybe there is some like point behind the insanity, right? At this point, I don't think there is. I think he is fully demented. I think he might have moments of lucidity, and his moments of lucidity are checkered with stupidity. He's not smart. He is the world's number one sub performer. That's
Well,
what he is.
he is a sub performer for sure. I mean, hello, how can you drive a casino to the ground? You know, I mean, and he managed to do that. But I do want to go back to the Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens thing that you did bring up, and that's kind of interesting to me. So I'm 1 degree separated from Tucker Carlson. Um, I do not like him. I think he's a total prick. So I think that Trump is
Hmm.
actually correct on this. I mean, I don't know why he thinks that he's a failing fool because I don't see him actually failing. So I mean, it's like Trump is right, but probably for the wrong reasons. That sort of thing. Candace Owens is an absolute idiot and a you know complete nut job. I mean, she, what was it recently that I saw? I don't know. She discovered something that every human should know, that it was like new to her. And I was just like, oh my God, you stupid bitch. You're too dumb to breathe. you know?
It,
And and then as far as Megyn Kelly is concerned, full disclosure on that, been on our show, talked to Megan. Um, I do think that she is a little bit out of those three. She is a more sincere actor. Um, and it's not just because I've talked to her. It's just that I've listened to her show a lot and everything. And I mean, I really do think that she does try to be fair about things, which often puts her on the wrong side of MAGA. And I think that
wait,
that's
did you
why
just
he's,
say Megyn Kelly tries to be fair?
yeah, she does, because it often puts her on the wrong side of MAGA. Like they don't like her. They don't.
She tried
Seriously,
to
what
excuse she tried to excuse child abuse in the Epstein files by saying, "Well, at least they were 15. That's different than being 8."
I don't agree with what she said there. I mean, I think that that was stupid. I mean, I think that she was trying to make that point between the difference between actual pedophilia versus someone who just likes them young. I think that's the thing that she was trying to distinguish there. But I think that that's not a point that you want to make really publicly. You know? So I thought it was stupid.
It the she's playing a disgusting game of semantics. A lack of
Oh
consent and an
yeah,
inability to consent because of age is all an inability to consent, and it's all rape. It I will say I don't give her much credit for crap. I don't listen to her because she makes me wanna vomit. She's a disgusting excuse of a human being, and she's an embarrassment to all of womanhood. So, I can't speak to maybe some middle of the road things that she says. Um, I will
because
say
she does. She really does say a lot of middle of the road stuff, which is why she always appealed to me. She's right leaning, but I would definitely say center right. You know, as far as things are concerned, I don't agree with everything that she has to say for sure. And the example that you brought up was really one of the low points of her career for sure. But I try to take people in their entirety. And when I think about what she's done since she's come to Sirius XM and stuff like that, I think she's been freer to actually speak her mind. And therefore, you do hear a little bit more centrist stuff. Like, she had, um, Oh gosh, what was the name of the guy that you sent me? I need to email him, by the way,
Oh, I
from
I
Missouri.
need to look up his name. Yeah, the Missouri guy. Let
Why
me see
can't
if
I
I can find him
remember
real
it
quick.
off the top of my head?
Jason something? Jason?
Oh, Jason Kander. Okay,
Yeah.
she had Jason Kander, who's a Democrat, on her show, and they had a really great discussion, and I listened to that episode. They had a really great discussion, and she was like, she said something to the effect, she's like, Jason, if you ran for president, I'd vote for you. So I really do think that she is kind of middle of the road. But she's also a celebrity minded person too. So she's going to say some of those more extreme things in order to get attention and all that type of crap.
It of all of these people, right? Alex Jones, I just have always likened to a blustering fool, you know?
Oh, Alex
Um,
Jones is a joke.
yeah. It Candace Owens, I think she was on the right track talking about the Charlie Kirk deal, you know? Ever literally days after Charlie Kirk was killed, she came out saying that Charlie had told her that Israel had it in for him because he was very anti-Zionist. Um, Now we
Actually,
come
he
to find out.
wasn't. He
Well,
was not.
here's here's what she's saying,
Candace,
right?
that's where I'm saying Candace
Here's
is
what
a
she's
little.
this is what she's saying. To back up what she's saying, it has now come out that the ballistics from the bullet that killed Charlie don't match the rifle that they're saying that kid used to kill him.
Right,
So
right. Now I have
while
heard that.
she
Yeah.
while she is an outlandish conspiracy theorist, a broken clock can be right twice a day,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
I think that's the case with most of them. With Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Alex Jones, Candace Owens, a broken clock can be right twice a day, and I think that that's where they're at right now. I think that they are rats trying to flee a sinking ship. They're seeing MAGA go down. Trump is happily dragging MAGA down. That's how they made most of their money. And now they're trying to save themselves. That's what I think they're
Tucker,
doing.
Tucker and Candace. I mean, let's just write off Alex Jones. He's just a total nut. But Tucker and Candace, I see as nationalists. And then if you break it down to Tucker only, he's a white nationalist,
Hmm.
is what he is. So he and Candace are somewhat related, though he obviously puts the white stuff before her. Um, so I think that we're seeing a little bit of that. I certainly don't see Megyn Kelly white nationalist whatsoever. Maybe a nationalist, but yeah, I mean these are people who it's like it's kind of hard to take them seriously right now, all of them to a certain
Oh,
degree.
yes. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, the hardest one for me was Megan Kelly, because I did like her
So
show for such a long time. But,
I,
that was the hardest one. But there's so much anti-Semitism going on there with these folks. So much
uh-huh.
anti-Semitism.
It, I will say that in her early days, Megyn Kelly was very much a white supremacist. She defended blackface. She kept arguing that it was a historical fact that Santa is white. Bitch, Santa ain't historical.
Santa's
Period.
not real.
Santa's not real, but historically she argued Santa was white. Um she has suggested that the black community suffers from a thug mentality and it's cool to hate cops. She, you know, attacked Michelle Obama. She attacks diversity. She, in her early days, was an open white nationalist, realized that that hurts her brand, and scaled that back.
Yeah, that's probably fair, but I can't speak to her earlier career because honestly, I never paid any attention to her until she went on Sirius XM. So,
They all make my stomach turn, so I just have to look up facts about them. I can't stand to watch them. Um, on our last note, just something to put out there for people to think about. The Wall Street Journal has reported that Trump has told his aides, staff, cabinet members that he will give them a pardon when he leaves office. So just do what I tell you to do. I'll pardon you. This is the party that's tough on crime. He attacked the Pope for not being tough on crime, but he's doing preemptive pardons. That statement in and of itself is wholly demonstrative of a criminal conspiracy.
the presidential pardon thing, I'm sure it's been used for good reasons in the past, but to be quite honest, I think that power should be yanked away from anyone. No one should be
Absolutely.
able
I
to
don't
do
think
that.
anybody should be able to pardon.
No, just get rid of
I
it.
think I think the most that anybody in a high seat of power should be able to do is like remove the death penalty. If you're sentenced
Right.
to death, I think a president or a governor should be able to say, we're not going to kill you. We'll just keep you life in prison. And that is the most power. Trump has pardoned so many criminals in this last year. 1,600 January Sixers. We've got drug lords that he's pardoned. We've got, fraud, people convicted of fraud charges that he's pardoned. People convicted of sex crimes that he's pardoned. He is abusing this power to get what he wants.
Hmm.
So, good job, MAGA. You are really tough on crime. You voted in a president that pardons criminals and that is actively engaging in a criminal conspiracy with his staff. That is so tough on crime. I am so in awe and inspired by your political sense of justice.
Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, yeah. It's stupid. I think this pardon thing needs to be taken away. I mean, if you want to
Mhm.
commute a sentence from death to life, sure, okay, I could maybe get a behind that. But that is generally something that governors do. It's not something the president does. So, I mean, the very few federal executions that do happen, because not a lot do, um,
Right.
that's maybe about all the president should be able to do is commute those sentences if he thinks it's appropriate, you know, but otherwise, yeah, this this whole thing. I really do believe that um, a comet hit us, and you and I are living in hell. I do truly believe
It
that.
I was telling my wife the other day. I said, "Yeah, do you remember when we just started dating and we both got COVID? Like I think we'd maybe been dating 2 or 3 months and we both came down with COVID and everybody in my house had COVID. She's got elderly parents where she was living. She was living with them. And so she couldn't go home because heaven forbid do you take COVID to the elderly parents. She stayed
Right.
here with me. Um, she was kind of mildly sick, enough to be able to get up and down and make sure to wake me up because I slept for 3 days. So she was able to make sure to wake me up, shove food down my throat, make sure I drank because I was just gone. I told her, I said, "Remember when we got sick with COVID?" And she said, "Yeah." I go, "I think we died. We died. This is hell." And she
Hmm.
started laughing and she's like, "Well, how come the animals are here with us then? I go, because we died and they starved to death because there was nobody here to feed them. We are all
I
dead.
I
We
I,
are
I
all
like the
alive.
Jewish. I like the Jewish explanation. So we're in Gehenna, actually, and so therefore we're paying for our sins, and that sort of thing, because everyone has to pay for their sins. And the animals are here for the free ride, and because God knows they don't do anything wrong. And anyway, eventually, God will just suck us up into heaven. We'll be great. That's the
Oh,
Jewish
Lord.
explanation.
I'm sorry. I am not that bad of a person that I deserve to pay for my sins by dealing with a Trump presidency. I'm not that
Well,
bad. I
I
am bad and I
know,
am a
I
sinner, but
know.
I'm not that bad. I don't think anybody is this bad. Like, the only people that deserve to be punished with the Trump presidency are his cabinet members, Dahmer, and Manson. There you go. They need to suffer a Trump presidency, not anybody else.
Well,
All right, guys. Any last words?
evidently, Sasha, God thought that we did deserve that. So there you
It's because we're gay.
go. Right,
It's
I
because we're
know.
gay. We're being discriminated against. That's why we
Uh,
have Trump as a president.
yeah, there you go.
All right, guys, that is all from us here at Political Malpractice. Thank you for listening in this week. We might not release a Sunday episode. I know Leela and I have finals coming up, so I'll see if I can talk her into doing a Sunday episode. Maybe, maybe not, but you will definitely get Chris and I again next week. Have a safe one. Find some good shit to think about. Just find some good shit, you know? Um,
Exactly.
Find me on all social media platforms at that Lib Law Student. Political Malpractice is also on all social platforms under Political Malpractice. And we've got Chris Barrett, who will shortly be returning back to X as at Midwest Homo 77. Any last
That's
words for
correct.
our people?
Have a great week, guys. We'll see you next Wednesday. I'm looking forward to it.
And we'll see you next Wednesday, guys. Have a good one.
If you want a second opinion or just something to rage about, hit that button and subscribe. This has been Political Malpractice.